Well, last time we told you one of the main takeaways from the debate is that calling Joe Biden senile, probably is, will not win the election. Now the vice presidential debate is coming up next Wednesday. We'll continue to take a much closer look at Kamala Harris's past and her record up until now. We'll continue with that tonight. Ned Ryun is here with what he believes are the top 3 things Mike Pence ought to highlight about Harris as they face off next week. Ned Ryun, great to see you tonight.
Good to be with you, Tucker.
So what do you think the Vice President Pence, ought to address with Kamala Harris?
Well, I would hit her on a couple things. First of all, I'd go right at some of these far left schemes. Do you really believe that we should pack the Supreme Court? Yes or no? Do you believe that we should give statehood to Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico? Again, these are all schemes to basically lead to one-party rule. Of course, Democrats thinking it would be them. I would ask her, too, do you really believe that we should decriminalize all illegal border crossings, which is de facto open border? And do you really think that it's a good idea to give health care to illegal immigrants? And I would also try to pin her down on, do you believe in the Green New Deal in its entirety? Because we know that it is coercive socialism. Green New Deal is coercive socialism. It will only be implemented in its entirety through coercion. I would remind people there's another term for coercive socialism. It's called communism. So I would start there, but I've got a few more ideas that he just needs to keep pounding to, again, illustrate. You know, again, she was bailing out the rioters and the looters up in Minneapolis this summer, actually actively raising money to bail them out of jail. And then I would conclude, at least, will you renounce Antifa and the Marxist BLM in all of its destructive ways? Put her on the mark and do not let her off of it completely. Pin her down and get her to either deny or accept all of those points and then move on.
None of that seems far-fetched to me. This doesn't seem hard. So if you're going up against someone in a political race, you look at the polling and you say, well, this person has positions that are very unpopular with the public. Why don't we let the public know this person has these positions? Instead, day after day, I see these idiotic messages from the Trump campaign attacking Joe Biden because he voted for the crime bill that actually most people like. So why don't they ever mention that these people want to add Puerto Rico and D.C. to the union and pack the Supreme? I mean, this is like obvious stuff.
This is obvious stuff, and I would remind people that a poll showed nearly 70% of the American people are opposed to packing the Supreme Court. Anytime you have a 70% issue, that's a winning issue. So, and it really does highlight how radical she is. Again, I think I'm stating the obvious, but her record shows she is one of the most liberal members of the Senate. Just go through her voting record. Keep nailing her on this and show people what she is. Because I've told my wife, Tucker, I would not be surprised, God forbid, Joe Biden would win. I would doubt that he would serve out his first term. I think Kamala Harris would actually replace him as president before the first term would expire. That's how serious this is, because she is truly the real presidential candidate on this ticket.
Well, I mean, I don't have the polling right in front of me, but I don't believe that most people want to see D.C., maybe the most mismanaged city in the world, certainly in this hemisphere, become a state. Like, it's not even, that's prohibited by the Constitution. I mean, it's insane. Who supports that?
That's right. But Tucker, you and I both know the Constitution for them is kind of a series of suggestions that they can choose to either accept or reject as they so choose. This is all the pursuit of power, political power to implement their far-left agenda. You get 2 more liberal senators from D.C., 2 more liberal senators from Puerto Rico all of a sudden, and then you remove the legislative filibuster. That's another thing that Pence should push her on. Do you think that it is a good idea to remove the legislative filibuster from the U.S. Senate, which would, again, destroy any minority rights in that body? That is shameful that they're even talking about that.
That is one-party rule. So that packed the Supreme Court. You've got all 3 branches of government controlled by one party forever. I don't think even most Democrats are for that. It's not a good idea. Ned Ryun, great to see you.
It's not.
It's not.
Tucker.
Too much power, too few hands.